Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to In the Office with Scott and Wallace. We're here every Tuesday at 2 p.m. I'm Robert Scott.
Matt McNamara.
And I'm Clint Wallace.
And so we're happy to be with you again. If you're watching this or you follow us at all, first of all, we appreciate that. We'd like to offer informative information about our practice areas and what we're doing here at Scott and Wallace whenever we can. But yesterday, Clint and Matt, as y'all know, we were over at Conley Elementary. We made a $1,500 donation to the food pantry to help feed children who are enrolled there who maybe don't get the nutrients, I guess, or nutrition, I should say, that they need. And so we're happy to help in that way. We were made aware that there's food deserts, as we've talked about, across the county. And fortunately, there's one at Conley that we're helping to address. We also did a backpack drive. Clint, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we want to thank all of our team members here at Scott and Wallace, the community. We had several attorneys that we know, friends, our kids, collected canned goods and backpacks, and our goal was to raise $25 to supplement the food pantry sponsorship we have. We exceeded that and had $35, so we're really excited about that.
Yeah. And a special thanks to all those who helped donate food items and backpacks and help us meet that goal or exceed it, as Clint just said. We had lawyers who we work with come by the office and drop things off. I think the person who cuts my hair dropped off a couple of backpacks and your hair, Clint. So, Elora, we thank you for that, and to everyone else who we didn't have a chance, unfortunately, to meet who dropped off items. It was a big hit at Conley, and it's going to go a long way to helping address, as we said, those food deserts across the county and specifically at Conley.
Sure.
And we're looking forward to continuing our relationship with Leon County Schools. As these issues or we're made aware of these issues, we intend to help. Along those lines, we're also going to keep acknowledging and recognizing the principals across the county who are making a difference in the lives of our children.
Right.
And I know we've got the Principal of the Month. You want to talk a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, that's coming up. I guess the first meeting will be here in September. Every month, Superintendent Hannah recognizes the Principal of the Month. We attend the meeting. It's a fun meeting. He's an electric personality.
He is.
And we learn a lot about the different principals of the schools and what they're doing to make their school so much better. And we're honored to be a part of that. So in September, we'll see who the recipient is for Principal of the Month here.
Yeah, so we're excited to continue that.
And you've got a comment really quick. She says, my favorite of all of your philanthropies is Principal of the Month.
Oh, great. All right.
Well, good. Well,
If you're a principal, we'll note your name. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So with that background, I think today is the Ask Me Anything segment.
Mm-hmm.
We try to do this, Matt, as you know, a couple times a year, I think. And so Megan, behind the camera there, why don't you hit Matt with an employment question? I think there's been some that were submitted before, and if you're watching and you have questions, feel free to chime in and ask those. But let's go ahead and make Matt the guinea pig.
Start it off.
All right, so first question is also from a Matt. Says,
Great name.
what is the best way to document a dispute with your employer?
The best way to document a dispute with your employer is certainly more documentation, the better. Emails, letters to them, notes, anything like that. Oftentimes when an employee will maybe complain about something, they'll make it in person or over the phone, and then they have no way of knowing if the individual receiving the complaint is documenting that in any way, shape, or form. If you have a human resource department within your company, I would contact your human resource department, and if you have a complaint, to let them know and be as detailed as possible. There's a big difference between saying my supervisor is being unprofessional as compared to, I believe my supervisor is discriminating against me now that I'm about to take leave due to my pregnancy. And so the more specific you can be, the better. Feel free to summarize events. If some event just happened that you felt uncomfortable with, be detailed about it, summarize it the way that you took it, and don't shy away from having to have that conversation with those individuals. And then when you have that conversation, it's best to do it in some documented form, whether that be a formal letter or an email, and best to the human resource department.
What about if you make a complaint and your supervisor's like, I want to take this very seriously. Come by my office. I want to talk to you in person. Should the employee do that and then document in writing what happened during that meeting?
Correct.
With a follow-up email?
Right. That's a great practice way to do it. Is if you do have a conversation in person follow up with an email saying, I appreciate you taking time to speak to me earlier, give a brief recap of the conversation, and then move on. So that way there is
As
documentation.
a written record. Yeah.
Right.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right, next question comes from John. It says, how long after a car accident must you see a doctor to submit a relevant claim?
Depends on the state you're in.
Yeah. So in Florida, we have personal injury protection, or PIP. The short answer to this question, before I get into that, is as soon as it's practicable. If you're hurt, go see a doctor. Okay. In Florida, we have a system called personal injury protection that affords you benefits under your insurance policy. You have 14 days to get treatment following an accident, so you want to do that. In Georgia, there's no such requirement, but again, you want to get treatment as quickly as you can, most importantly for your health, but for the value of your case as well.
And to piggyback on what you're saying, coming back to Florida claims specifically, if you're like a lot of tough guys that we've represented over the years or whatever, where you're in an accident, hurting, got obligations, you got work, whatever, family obligations, and you say, I'm just going to try to take some pain medication and shake this off, and the 14 days goes by. Okay, it doesn't get any better, and you say, you know what, I'm going to go see my doctor. You go to the doctor like on the 16th day, for example. You can still bring a claim.
You can,
okay?
Absolutely.
Just because PIP may not be available to you necessarily, we would want to look at it, but even if PIP's not available, you still have a valid claim and you can bring that claim. So don't shy away from bringing a claim just because maybe you didn't get treatment within 14 days.
And in that scenario, health insurance would probably pay for your treatment anyway, which
Correct.
we could evaluate that.
Correct.
So.
All right.
Yeah,
Next.
I'll take Ask Me Anything for 800.
All right. So this one comes from Tina. It says, do you work on a contingency basis?
We do.
We do take cases on a contingency fee. And just what is a contingency fee, Robert?
Yeah, so a contingency fee just means that we as your lawyers do not get paid for the time we front unless we recover for you and recover monetarily for you. And so the Florida Bar has laid out a fee structure that is deemed to be reasonable. And so it's on the Florida Bar's website. You're welcome to go visit it. Or the website and take a look. Other states don't necessarily have those types of percentages which they mandate, but at Scott and Wallace, we honor our fee structure that the Florida Bar sets for us, even though we practice in 3 states, those being
Sure.
Alabama, Florida, and Georgia.
Sure. And Matt takes cases the same way.
Yeah, same exact way.
Yeah.
All right. So next one comes from Amy Sue. It says, if I'm in an accident and injured, what do I do first? Anything else you'd recommend? So 2-part question.
Okay. I always think contacting a lawyer because we have such familiarity with the process.
Sure.
At Scott and Wallace, and I'm sure other lawyers the same way, there's no obligation to talk to us. If you want to come in and just go through the process and get an understanding, and maybe you're not quite sure if you want to hire a lawyer or what that all entails, you're welcome to call us in particular and say, I want to come sit down with y'all for 30 minutes and find out what my options are and how this whole thing shakes out or how it could play out. And so we're happy to do that. That's where you're going to get the most in-depth discussion about your specific facts and circumstances, whether there's liability issues, maybe you had like a prior back injury or something, and you've aggravated it. How does that? How do you bring a claim if you were already treating for an injury, now you feel like it's been made worse? Insurance limits. There's just a host of issues. Where do you go? Who are the facilities in town that treat people with injuries after a car accident? Sometimes, we've had clients come in and say, I love my primary physician, but he or she won't see me. I called their office and they won't see me after a car accident. So
Sure.
These are all things we can help facilitate. So.
And you guys have quite a few people that are joining in right now. Do you want to just update them on what we're doing?
Yeah. If you got a question, it's Ask Me Anything Tuesday. If you got a question for us, ask me anything.
Professional, personal, whatever. Send it in.
#AMA.
There you go.
Yes. All right. So next question, it says, it's from Kathy. It says, are you doing the Principal of the Month again this year? So I think you answered that earlier,
we are
but
right on that. We're excited to be a part of that again in our partnership with Wheelock County Schools. So, yep.
perfect. All right. And then next question comes from Stacy. It says, do you have plans to expand outside the Tallahassee market?
We've already expanded outside the Tallahassee market.
Yeah, we have offices in Tallahassee, Thomasville, as well as Panama City and Valdosta. And if you go to our website, we got numbers and addresses for them. You can contact us if you're in those areas. and we'll always be able to, serve you even if you're beyond those areas. As long as you're in the state of Florida or Georgia or Alabama, there's plenty of stuff that we can still do for you. You don't necessarily need to be in Tallahassee in order to have us represent you.
Sure. And we make house calls or hospital calls frequently to all the surrounding towns in that tri-state area.
Yeah, and I want to say this. We tried a case a couple years ago in Mississippi. So, regardless of where an accident happens, even if it's not a state where we're licensed, if you want our help, we can make direct referrals to lawyers in the area where the accident happened.
Sure.
If you want us to stay involved, like the client did in the Mississippi case, we were willing to try the case in another state. We always would recommend associating local counsel, but there's something called pro hoc vice admission, where us as lawyers who aren't licensed in that state, if we're sponsored by a lawyer in that state, we can be pro hoc vice admitted, and we can try your case in another state. So we're always happy to help walk you through that process, and if it's not specifically in one of the cities where we maintain an office or a state where we're licensed, it still may be something we can do to help. So.
All right, now last question that was submitted earlier was from Jerry. It says, is it common for car insurance rates to go up after you've submitted a claim?
It's a great question.
Yeah, typically no. What makes your car insurance go up is having an at-fault accident or having 3 or more non-at-fault accidents in a calendar year or a policy year period when they just deem you unlucky. But,
And I did a whole segment on this.
Yeah.
So if it's on our Facebook page, Megan, Jerry was the person.
Yep.
Jerry, if you're interested, I spent about 5, 6, 7 minutes discussing this in depth, and it's on our Facebook page. We did it as part of one of these segments. Go check that out. And if you still have questions, call me, and I'll be glad to answer any follow-up questions. But as Clint was in the process of answering before I interrupted him, if an accident's not your fault, I don't think I've seen it raise your rates.
Right.
I think there's a lot of other reasons that rates are raised, and as I said, it's in there on the website in depth for you.
Sure.
Okay. Those are all the questions that were submitted earlier, so you guys have quite a few. And none that have come in right now, but like I said, a lot of people watching.
Okay. Well, thanks for those questions, and if there's anything else you want answered that you don't have to necessarily post it here, if you want to, that's fine. We'll certainly answer it. If it's something specific to you or you want it to be kept confidential, you're welcome to call us, and we'll answer any questions you may have about anything. But specifically, as you know, here at our law firm, we handle personal injury, employment, workers' comp cases. That's what we do every day, and we're excited to help you if you ever need us. So with that,
Thanks for tuning in.
sorry for all the noise, but we're live.
That's how it goes.
We'll see you next Tuesday.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.